It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you last week? Oh, we started off shaking the Monday morning blues with the Do Time crew. And we talked about the things you need to do after you have a fight with your partner that's going to ensure you have a long and decent marriage. Yes. You know, we don't talk about that much. That is one of the things that we have rarely talked about on It's Due Time. And definitely, you will have to stick to the fighting rules. Yes. Make sure that you and your partner stick to the fighting rules. Now, everybody should have fighting rules. Yes, you should. There's just things that work for your relationship. We ain't talking about what works for your mama's relationship, what works for your auntie or your grandparents. We're talking about what works for the two of you, because there may be things that you two need to do or not do that will ensure that, you know, after the fighting is over, there's some rules that you make sure you do. And trust me, it works. It works. The things that people have said who have long, wonderful marriages, they were just things that they did and things that they didn't do. But it wasn't on the fly. It was stuff that they made sure they did that worked. And they got rid of the stuff that didn't work, okay? So make sure you take care of that. Well, listen, here's a tricky one. You repair the hurt you either caused on purpose or by accident. Now, this one here, this is a tricky one because most people focus on what they did not do. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. It wasn't on purpose. And we talked about that. You know, people who apologize and say that, you know, what they did wasn't on purpose. Well, listen, most things are not done on purpose in a relationship. Yeah, you're just kind of stepping on one another's toes unintentionally. But does that mean that you don't go back and help to repair the damage? The damage is done. Your only focus should be making sure that the damage has been corrected. Forget about who caused it. Sometimes God's going to need you to just go over that line a few times just to make sure that it's over. Was that a word for somebody? I surely hope so. And one more. Let's get, I like this one. You fight for the relationship, not against the relationship. And make sure that, you know, listen, this is the reason why these things are done afterwards. Because here's what happens a lot of times. People fight and then they just go over into a neutral corner. They wait till everybody simmers down. And then they come and they meet back in the middle. And then they just go back to normal. That does not work. Because people are walking around with a whole bunch of things that need to be resolved. And if you want to resolve, you're going to have to do things intentionally. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what can you do intentionally to make sure that this marriage has a long, beautiful life. Okay? All right. Well, we did get a switch tip last week. And the switch tip, give up your priorities, which ended up falling right into that list, because that list talked about you. Yes, what do you need to do to make sure it worked? And If you don't put in the work, which may mean shifting your priorities, what does God need you to do? What does God say? Listen, your priority is gonna go on the back burner when it comes to God. I promise you, because he says, "My ways are higher than your ways. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts." And if we try to do things God's way, we're gonna have to push our things to the side. The things that we think are so important, the things that we just gotta do no matter what. I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. Yeah. And that's not gonna happen. So you know what? Get rid of your priorities. Find out what the priorities are that God wants you to have. And you know what? You're going to be all right. I just heard a couple of stories this past weekend into the weekend. And, I'm hearing some stuff and I'm saying to myself, boy, your priorities were kind of out of whack. Yeah. We're going to have to take a step back from what we need. Yeah, that's not gonna work. And you know what the saddest part about it is? We are right with that because we're so focused on what we need that we're not thinking about what God wants us to do. So you go to the Lord, because I'm gonna tell you something. I could tell a whole lot of stuff that the Lord ain't had nothing to say about. Because if you look in the Bible, it don't parallel to what it says. So I know God ain't happy with it, because if we go against what the Bible says, Nah. You off kilter. All right, what else did we talk about last week? Well, we had our Wow Wednesday with our girlfriend Vivian. And Vivian talked about the millennials that are having a harder time with more than the baby boomers had at their age with less. Wow. Yeah. And that's mainly due to the amount of debt millennials are in now that the baby boomers didn't have back then. And unfortunately, with all that the millennials have at their disposal, with the amount of debt, it's at a record high, that they are in less shape than baby boomers were. And that is like a really crazy statistic. And it's not because they're not trying, because if they're pushing to go to college, that means that they're incurring more debt. And unfortunately, that puts them behind the 8 ball. That ain't a good thing. But you know what? Here's what I say. I say, trust God for every movement that you make. Everybody who's going to college ain't got no business going to college. But if that's what everybody tells you to do, then that's what you're going to do. So make sure you follow God. Should you be in this level of debt? And it was interesting what the millennials on his due time had to say. So go back and listen to Wednesday's episode. Very interesting conversation. Now, I want to go through some of the videos that we looked at last week, because, man, it was video season. Woo! Tuesday. We talked about the pastor who tells the new members to leave because he requested prayer. Remember that? Yes, the man who walked up and he asked the pastor, can I need prayer? And the pastor went off on him. Oh, boy, is that the way we're supposed to handle the people that need prayer? Because they are interrupting, quote unquote. Check your priorities. Oh, let's look at one of Thursday's videos. Remember the guy asked the people, name me 5 books of the Bible, but it can't be the first 4 or the first 5. Oh, boy, did they fail miserably. And what about name your favorite Black person? Oh, Martin Luther King, who had a prayer about his life or his congregation. Oh, boy, we're in big trouble. Check your priorities. Do you know anything about, the Black history? Just because you ain't Black don't mean you don't need to know about the Black history, because those historians fought for you and for us. Okay? And on Friday, woo, the men were in rare form as we talked about crossing boundaries, and we showed some videos, and we talked about the single mom of 3 who required some things she ain't need to be requiring. and the wife who was upset with the husband who bought the house. Yeah, it wasn't a house to her liking. And you need to go back and check out those videos over the week, because now that we're on visual duty, we are going to show you what life is like out there, and we're going to parallel it to the way God wants it to be. Now, here's the problem, because some of these videos are infractions against the Christians. Yes, as we saw on Tuesday. So we are going to continually show how God wants us to do things, because we're looking at the non-believers who are doing these things. But let me tell you something, the believers are in bigger trouble. So that's what God wants us to show. These are everyday things. Oh my goodness, these things that people are doing on a regular basis. And should we be participating in them as Christian people? Or should we be the trendsetters and the example setters? Stay tuned, because you don't know what God is going to have Pastor Steph talk about. Okay. Well, that's how we spent our week last week. Well, today we are shaking the Monday morning blues all over again. There's no reason and no room to be bluesy as long as you have the Due Time crew. And I promise you, they are in the house. I can see that they're in the house, and we're going to make sure that you don't go down, because we're going to keep you going up. All right. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Marie McCoy, a young woman from Oneida, Arkansas, born on the 19th of April, 1922. With a mere $6 in her pocket, she sets off for New York in 1942, chasing a singing career. Over the next decade, she finds success, gracing stages at clubs and bars, opening for entertainers like Ruth Brown and Mabley. Then 1952, her voice captures the attention of Wheeler Records, and she records 2 songs. However, it's not her voice that gets the industry talking, it's her writing prowess. Suddenly she's crafting songs for Elvis, Ike Tina, Eartha Kitt, Nat King Cole, and countless others. 6 decades in the industry, over 800 songs penned or co-penned by her. She passes on the 20th of January 2015 at the age of 92. A remarkable journey, a remarkable woman, Rose Marie McCoy.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and good morning. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, Rose Marie McCoy. Boy, we didn't even realize, and we still don't realize, how much we're outside of the fence have contributed to the other side of the fence's success. So, shout out to her family, and how proud they must be that they are her lineage. All right. Well, are you in the room? If you're in the room, please let me know. Check in so I can say a hearty good morning to you all. So, we got our first check-in this morning from our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. We got a shout out from our girl Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl. Thank you for joining us this morning. Serge is in the house. Good morning, Serge. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Tamika. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you in a little while. We got our girl V in the house. Good morning, Vivian. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we got a check-in from Majesty. Hey, our other Majesty's been missing. Gotta check out and find out where she's been. All righty. Hopefully she's okay, and she's just been a little busy in the mornings. So we're happy to see every Majesty in the house. So good morning, and thank you so much for joining us. We got a couple of things we're talking about today as we talk about our health tips. And we got two things that I want to bring to you. So here's the first thing. And I think we've crossed over this before, but listen, there's a reminder in the house. We're talking about pain we should never ignore. And I'm thinking we talked about this, but I'm thinking there's on this list is a couple of other things that we did not talk about the last time. So pain that you don't ignore, and you need to be headed to the ER. Make sure you got out your pens and papers. I told you, don't come to the table if you don't have your paper and pencil. Okay? They talk about the sudden pain that doesn't go away. All right? They say sudden pain that doesn't go away, but that is severe, is something that should really get our attention, which means that we need to go and get it paid attention to. They say a medical professional needs to evaluate and determine how serious it is or how serious it really isn't. Okay. They say make sure if it's a sudden pain that does not go away, you do not ignore it. They are saying in here that we'd rather people mention it than for them to be walking around talking about, oh, it'll go away. They are finding out that these things are linked to some serious issues. So please don't ignore it. That's the sudden pain that does not go away. Chest pain. Oh boy. I really hope you're not going around ignoring chest pain. Let me tell you something. Every single time my mother mentioned she had chest pain, something had been going on with that heart. So, and she had to end up staying in the hospital. Once she said she had chest pain, we knew she wasn't coming back immediately. And she didn't. She didn't. They always had to keep her. So they say chest pain is often associated with heart attacks. I told you they didn't ignore it. They always kept her. They say, and it should be something that is taken seriously. They say chest pain is definitely concerning to us. These are the ER physicians that are speaking. Okay. They say, even if you've never had heart or chest problems before, make sure you ring that bell. Okay. They say chest pain is particularly worrisome in older people and people who have links to family members that have heart issues, hypertension, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Yeah, don't ignore that. Remember, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Don't ignore the chest pains, especially you. But if you got chest pains, don't ignore them, period. All righty? Woo! Okay. They say beyond heart attacks, sharp chest pain can also mean other serious issues such as blood clots in the lung or a tear in the major vessels in the chest. See? That's why you can't ignore this stuff. Make sure you get to the ER if you got chest pains. Don't ignore it. All right. We're talking about sudden pains that don't go away. Make sure you head to that ER. They say if you've got a calf pain along with calf redness. Wow. Now, for those of us on this side of the fence, it's not going to be so easy to catch that because we're not going to show up redness the same. But a discoloration in your skin should make you think about something, okay? But definitely that pain. They say lower leg pain, specifically in your calf, can be worrisome, and especially if it's accompanied by swelling or redness in the calf, okay? The doctors say that they get concerned that you may have a blood clot, and that ain't good because we've heard those blood clots travel. Yeah, what's his name on the plane? That's why he's not here anymore. Heavy D, yeah, who's one who had some issue of a blood clot traveling from his leg up to his chest, and he was out of here. So do not ignore it. Okay. Another one, upper back pain that feels like a tearing sensation. They say back pain is common, but certain scenarios that are accompanied with the back pain should not be ignored. They say if you have back pain that feels like a tearing sensation through your upper back or at the back of the chest, you should see someone immediately. All right. Do not ignore that. Okay. They say having that tearing sensation can represent a problem with the main large blood vessel in your body. Who knew that there was one main large blood vessel in your body? I didn't. So make sure you get to that emergency room if you have that. Okay. And they've got one more, certain lower abdomen pains. Man, let me tell you something. You're talking about the abdomen queen here. I done had nine surgeries on my belly. So trust me, you don't want to ignore those. They say if you've got pain in your abdomen, especially the lower abdomen, make sure you head to the ER. Okay. They say they get very nervous where people ignore. The physicians say they get very nervous when they have abdominal issues come through the emergency room. No longer can they ignore that stuff. It means too much. They say kind of the right or left portion of your lower back or your lower abdomen can be kidney stones or other stuff. So make sure you do not ignore it. Okay. So we're talking about those sudden pains that don't go away, where you need to head to the ER immediately. We're talking about what? Sudden pain that doesn't go away. Wait, let me go back. Okay. Pains that you should never ignore. Okay, that's what we're talking about. They say sudden pain that doesn't go away, chest pain, calf pain along with calf redness, upper back pain that feels like a tearing sensation, and certain lower abdominal pains. So please do not ignore them. All right. Now, I got to give a shout out to the ladies in the background that make it happen. Let's say good morning to our girl, Anika. Thank you so much, Anika, for holding us down in the morning. And we're going to make sure we say good morning to our girl, Shantice. Hey, Shantice. All righty. And we got a couple of check-ins. And we got a hello there, Mr. Martinez. Blessings to you as well. And thank you so much for stopping by. All righty. We hope that you're doing well also. All righty. Really quickly, we got a little more time in our tip segment. Well, I found something that might be of interest to you. It should be. It's talking about your pocket. You can't run to the emergency room for your pocket, but man, I'm going to try to keep you from running to the emergency room for your pocket. They say there are some reasons why you need to do your grocery shopping midweek. Wow, let's see what they say. They said you'll avoid the crowds. I don't know why. Wow. They say, well, on the weekends, everybody's doing their grocery shopping because they're working during the week. So that may be a reason why you would find no crowds during the middle of the week. They say parking lot is less hectic. Well, if you got lower amount of people, of course the parking is going to be less hectic. All right. Lines are shorter. Well, if you got less people, you're going to have less hectic parking lots and you're going to have the shorter lines. Come on, give us something here. They say fewer stress-induced impulse buys. Well, let's see what they say about this. Of course, we know that people eat stressfully, and they say whining toddlers, mini cart pushing kids, and those who decide the baking aisle is the best place to be are going to be the ones who are going to suffer physically because they're going to be buying things more. Yeah, especially things that they ain't got no business eating, which may take us back to tip number 1. You may have to end up in the emergency room, so we don't want to have that. They say you can use the weekends for planning. Okay, I guess that's a thought. All righty, let's see. First dibs on weekly sale items. In the middle of the week? No, I don't know about that one. I don't know about what. I don't like this list. I don't like this list at all. Potential to double dip on sales. All right. Well, maybe they do have some midweek sales. Okay, we can't, talk about that if they do. Other discounts offered on slower days. Well, we do know that. We do know that when things have not sold as quickly as they thought it could, they will drop the price during the middle of the week. Yeah. Because see, they're going to raise them on the weekends because they know everybody's in the store on the weekend. So that is a good tip. Shelves have more availability. In the middle of the week, it's based on when your sale starts. Now, where I live, the sales start on Friday. Yeah, they go from Friday to Friday. So that's the end of the week. So if you go in the middle of the week, you ain't gonna find some of them sales because they're gonna be gone. So I don't know. You can avoid overpicked produce and meat. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't like this list. I don't see much validity here. Increased accuracy and availability for pickup and delivery orders. I don't know. I guess I gotta ask people who pick up stuff. Yeah, that was a whack list. Yeah, we're not gonna trust that. Yeah, I thought they were gonna give us something. We're gonna throw that list in the garbage. Let's see. We got a comment up in the chat room. I always like to keep up. We go late evening and midweek. We avoid chaos and can take our time. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Listen, Tamika, what day starts your sales where you live? So since you said you go midweek, now the evening, late evening, ain't that when everybody getting out of work and they going to the store? I don't know. I guess that's where you live is good. Well, tell me. I want to know. I want to know what days of the week your sales start. Because what I do notice here is one of the stores, if you go on Friday mornings, they set. All the aisles are marked properly. You got a good supply of everything because it's just starting. Another store, all the old posts are still out. So if you don't have a circular in your hand or your phone with the app or whatever it is on it, you all jacked up because you're looking at old numbers when the numbers should have changed. They haven't put the new stuff out yet. No. And that's Friday. You know it's supposed to start on Friday mornings. Why are you not ready? What kind of mess is this? So for us, I don't go first thing Friday morning unless I'm desperate for whatever that's supposed to be, because I know by Monday they ain't happening. It may not be there. So, all right, what we talking about as far as news is concerned? Woo, the news wasn't bad last night, but it wasn't crazy. Okay, let's see how Tamika's answering. She says sometimes we miss the sales, but because we bulk shop, it ultimately evens out. Sales are on Saturdays. Okay. All righty. Well, we can't be in the store on Saturday, so we would miss those sales. But I guess maybe Sunday wouldn't be bad if you go in there on a Sunday. So, all right. Well, thank you for letting me know because I was surely interested. I appreciate that. Thank you. All righty. So what's in the news? We're talking about, this was the first thing that came up yesterday. last night when I looked up the news. They said there were 100 immigrants arrested in Colorado in some under, like, you remember years ago, they don't have these as much anymore, but they have those underground nightclubs. Since that nightclub here in the Bronx years ago, I don't know how many of you remember that, but it was horrible. Horrible. Somebody had blocked the doors, and set the place on fire. And all those people, there was a lot of young people in the Bronx. It was terrible. Lost their lives in that club. We don't find a lot of those type clubs anymore, or they're so underground we don't know nothing about them. But they had this underground Colorado nightclub. Now here was the biggest problem. Not only did they find a lot of illegal immigrants, but they had a lot of military people, active duty military people in there. Now, that wasn't the worst case scenario. What made it really bad was they were working there. These active military duty people, they were working there as security. But here's the biggest problem. They snagged them for drug trafficking, prostitution, and some other crimes that they say were going on. Now, they say some of the drugs were cocaine, and they have some pink cocaine called Tusi. I've never heard of that, but I heard of it now. They really are upset because these active military people were snagged in there, and not just as patrons. So there are two things they're snagging them for. One, if this was so active, they said drug trafficking, prostitution, and the present the MS-13s were in there, along with other crimes and things like that. Why were you there? You ain't got no business being there. Number two, why were you working there? And how were you working there and you didn't know all this stuff was going on? And what they ended up finding out was they were participants. Yes. But here's the thing. Boy, can we find a way to get out of stuff. So wait, I got to find the name of this. It was so weird, and I had to chuckle. I said, boy, they really find a way to get out of this. So they say that they had active duty service members were handed over to the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, right? So they went to the United States Army Criminal Investigation Division and were asking questions, and they claim that the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division had this undercover operation with the DEA. And that's why their military personnel were in there participating. Whack! You know you weren't in there participating under some undercover DEA operation. You were illegally participating, and they snagged your butt. That's what ended up happening. Yes. So now all of a sudden you and the DEA you're in cahoots. But here's the thing that they said in the article earlier. The DEA had this place under surveillance for quite some time. Yes, they've been watching this place, and that's how they knew when to go in and everything. They were not surprised completely at the activities. Why? Because they had been known for doing this stuff. But what they didn't know was that this active military presence was there. So they snagged you. That's it. Call it a day. Take the proper precautions. Okay? All righty. So you're not You're not getting over. You're not getting over. Terrence says the government was running. That's all. Yeah. Y'all ain't got nothing to do with that. Y'all were in there participating. That was it. That was it. That was it. Go away. Stop lying. Stop lying. Stop lying and stop lying. What else are we talking about? All righty. You got this Texas mama who was arrested when she gave vodka jello shots to the 5th grade students at a school holiday party. So the children were given these jello shots, vodka-filled jello shots. Well, let me tell you something. I don't drink, but I've never heard of jello shots that did not contain alcohol. Yes. If I've ever been to any place and they were passing out jello shots, they made sure to say, okay, you can have this, Steph, because this got alcohol in it. I ain't never been nowhere where they've been giving out jello shots. Now, why am I saying this? Because they said they were having this holiday party. They were she was giving out this jello shots. The kids started complaining about their stomach. Some said that they were throwing up. And one of the kids said that they passed out. And when they went and they did the research, they found out that after they sent the kids to the school nurse and they were asking the questions, that she had given them the jello shots with the alcohol. Now she claims that she didn't know the jello shots had alcohol. This is why I was telling you, I ain't never been nowhere where they were giving out the jello shots where they passed me by. And they told me why they were passing me by, to make sure that they didn't seem rude. They made sure to tell me, you can't have this stuff. So you know good and well that you were giving out them jello shots with alcohol to the kids. So they asked her, where did she get it from? So she claims she got it from Mary up the block. Well, they questioned Mary up the block. And you know what Mary up the block told them? She knew that it had alcohol in it because she asked. You don't buy jello shots, or you don't make jello shots. That's why they're called shots. Other than that, you're just giving away jello. You're not giving away jello shots if it ain't got a shot in it. Boy, they think people are stupid. Yo, so now they gonna snag her. You got a whole class. Why? Why were you bored? You were trying to light up the place? All right, so they say that she alleged that she didn't know that they had vodka in it, but they had already consumed them. So when they did the backtracking, yeah, they found out that she was lying. So they say she was booked into jail and her bail was set at $75,000. But my thing is, see, certain things you shouldn't even be, it should be like off the table that you even get bail. I don't care what's going on with you. They shouldn't give you no bail. You set the kids up. Listen, they were complaining about their stomachs. They were throwing up. And one kid said that they even passed out. Do you know that some of these kids could have had alcohol poisoning and died? Yo, no, ain't no bail for that. Sorry. No. Get your rocks off some other way, and you gonna sit up in jail for a minute. Okay? Go away. Terrence says they do have jello shots without liquor, but I knew she knew. Look at her. She's drunk now. Listen, Terrence, my question is, I'm from the old school. What's the point of calling them shots? I don't get it. That's why they call them shots. Listen, all of you people out there who used to drink, or come on, if you're still drinking, let's talk about this thing. Ain't no judgment here. If you do, you don't. It don't matter to me. I'm telling you that from the top, listen, drinking has been going around, Stephanie, since I was a kid. Okay, this ain't nothing new to me. I ain't never drank, but it ain't cause I ain't been around the alcoholics. And generally, when they say shot, it's always alcohol, or as they say, alcohol involved. So Terrence says they have non-alcoholic drinks and they mix it in with the shots for some people that don't drink, but they call it Jello shots. How did the Jello shot when the shot is on the outside of the Jello? Someone gonna help me understand this thing here. Help me. Wait, Shanti says shots mean alcohol. Okay, well, let me tell you something, Terrence. You weren't here when Shantice was confessing. And Terrence, do you drink? I'm just curious. Listen, I'm not telling you that they don't. I'm sure that there's some truth as to what you're saying. But here's my thing. How is it a shot when you have the Jello? You have Jello. Okay, so let's say you put the Jello in an ice cube mold. Ain't just Jello? Not a shot till you throw the alcohol up in there. She says, yes, I have my own bar. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you for your transparency. So I'm straight lost now. Because to me, it ain't a shot till you add alcohol in it. All right. He said it's like a pina colada or a virgin drink that they have the name. I get that. Because we drink virgin pina coladas and things like that. So I definitely get that. But when you want alcohol in that virgin, it's called a shot. Where are my drinkers at? Y'all stop acting like y'all don't drink or y'all don't know what I'm talking about. So this is gonna be a three-way conversation. Hey, Miss Charlene, good morning. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Shanti says, why would you even give kids something that looks like a Jello shot? And Shanti says, as ex-drinker here. So, but thank you for bringing clarity into this for us, Terrence. Because like I said, for me, if I'm looking at Jello in a mold, because the Jello has to be in a mold, whether it's in a regular cup, whether it's in an ice cube, whether it's in some type of other thing, other type of mold. In my opinion, it's just Jello. It doesn't become Jello shots until. So when you took it to school, you said, I'm offering the kids Jello shots. But they weren't shots. So why you just didn't say you were offering the kids Jello? Because see, that's the problem here. She brought the kids Jello shots. That's what they're saying. She brought the kids Jello shots to the 5th grade holiday party. Later on, they found out that the Jello shots had alcohol in them. But that's what Jello shots, because it's alcoholic. But Terrence says, hey, it doesn't mean that it's shots because it's got alcohol. You got Jello shots that are non-alcoholic. Just stop calling them Jello shots. Then she shouldn't have taken it to the school and called it Jello shots. I'm with Shantice. Just say you're giving the kids Jello. Now, for those of you who don't eat pork, don't eat Jello, because Jello is full of pork. Anything that's gelatin, unless it says beef gelatin, that's pork. That's a little hint for you today. Now, Vivian says people would still call it shots even if it doesn't have alcohol. I guess you can say Jello shots. All right, so that's 2 on that side of the fence. Good morning, Teresa. Thank you so much for checking in. Okay, so that's 2 that say, listen, they could call them Jello shots. Well, I stand corrected, but for me, don't call the shots, because automatic. Listen, my mother used to tell me, Stephanie, stop asking people, do they want something to drink? Yes, she's telling me that all the time. She said, Stephanie, stop asking people if they want something to drink. You ain't serving no liquor. She said, and that's what people generally mean when they ask you, do you want something to drink? So this is my terminology. This is where my terminology comes from. Yeah, but that's just for me. That's just for me. All right. So, okay, I stand corrected. All right. Well, thank you for that correction. But she took this to the school. She said that it didn't have any alcohol in it. The lady who she bought it from said, yes, she did. She asked, did it have alcohol? And she told her yes, and she gave him to the fifth graders. So now she's sitting in jail. Okay, trying to get up to $75,000 bond. All righty. All right, Shanti says, wait, let me go back. Wait. Vivian says she knew what she was doing. Maybe she wanted to be the cool one to the kids. Maybe. Terrence says she's stupid because she asked the lady to put alcohol in them. Yes, she knew. Shanti said, I would have been mad when I was drinking and you asked me if I wanted a Jello shot and it didn't have alcohol. It would have been a hostile situation. I don't know why they call liquor that don't have liquor in it, because they say liquor because of the name. Anika says Jello mold versus Jello shots. Right. Oh my goodness gracious. Woo! All right, I got like 2 minutes to talk about another story. All right, didn't think that one was gonna have the life that it had. Wait. What we talking about? I got 2 more. Let me decide which one. Okay. I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow. Let's talk about it Tuesday, because we do have an update on this whole Carmelo Anthony from Texas situation. Yeah, it gets deeper. Man, they are going buck wild with this situation here. All righty. So you got 4 people who are accused of running a makeshift child fight club and permitting child abuse. You need to, Shanti's, please show the picture of these people. I don't know if I want to leave my children in the company of these people. I don't know. Y'all let me know. But when I saw the pictures, I was like, I hope these are mug shots, because if I were to drop off my kids and they look like this, I think I'm turning around. I'm taking a day off. Yes. Well, they say that let me read the names. Mary Tracy Morrison, Michael Bean, Kristen Bell, and Catherine Lipscomb were hauled off when somebody found a video. Oh, what's the matter? Everything gotta be videotaped and posted on social media. So somebody, one of these dopes, videotaped the fight club that was going on. They weren't calling it a fight club, but that's what they are classifying it as. And in the now wait. The incident took place. Are you ready? The Delta Institute for the Developing Brain. Help. You put your children in the care of these 2 or 2 or 4. I'm wondering if, Shanti's, go down. They got 2 other pictures. Can you simultaneously put these pictures up? Because I would love for y'all to look at all 4 of these people. I'm not leaving my children at, I'm not leaving them at the Delta Institute for the Developing Brain with these 4 people. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not. And in the video, they heard one of the 4 say to the kids to go ahead and hit them in the private area. Yeah. They told them to hit the other kid in the private area. And that's how they got caught. Because it was on videotape and they were heard. Not only did they see it, but they heard one of the 4 coaching the kids to do that. Okay. We got to do better, y'all. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. Listen, when you go to drop your kids off, please pay attention to who's in the room. Yeah. These are the other two. Now, between the first two and these two, I'm not doing it. Now, these just may be mug shots. And they're on a regular basis, they don't look like this. But yeah, they are all now going to jail. They are 50 years old, 45, 38, and 36. Those four at that age, y'all not even kids. So why would you be encouraging this behavior? It wouldn't be like, let's say for argument's sake, a young group, like maybe 25, 26, and now y'all getting your kicks watching the kids. Y'all almost senior citizens. Why are you even encouraging the kids to do all of this stuff? At the Delta Institute of Developing Brain or Brain Development or whatever. Why? Oh, honey, where my due time crew at? Let me while my due time crew joins me, let me see what these comments say. Shantice, Tara says Shantice wished that she was our teacher. Serge says the term shot reflects the act of drinking a small amount of alcohol quickly, often in one gulp, according to Vine Pair. So Serge then went and looked up shot and what shot means. All right. Terrence says, wow, they look like they was fighting dogs and chicken. I'm telling you, those four don't look like nobody you leave your kids with. At the development, wait, I gotta get the name right. Wait, I gotta get the name. I want to get the name. Well, I can't find the name now. I'm gonna find the name when we're talking about it again. Yeah, we'll find the name. The Delta Institute for the Developing Brain. And y'all got the kids in a fight club. So you're hitting them in the head and all of this kind of stuff. Stop. Oh, Serge says because they need their brains to be developed as well. All right, when's the due time crew? Do I have a due time crew? Good morning. Good morning.
Happy Monday morning to you.
Oh, girl, is this some kind of shaking the Monday morning blues or what? Whoa. This
I would say it's
no.
I lost my mind Monday.
That's what it sounds like. Oh my goodness gracious. Anika says they look like if the word sketchy had a picture. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. All right, Tamika. We're talking about the let's see. We started off talking about the active military duty members who were in the underground club in Colorado that got busted, and they had drug trafficking, prostitution, the MS-13s up in there, and a bunch of crime going on, including regular cocaine and some pink cocaine called Tusi. And they're saying that they worked there, but they were on an undercover sting with the DEA. What say you?
How convenient that is that you worked there. Yeah, you were working there, all right. You was working, getting everything that you could possibly get. You want drugs? Got it. You want 2C? You got it. You want a little bit of extra? Considering that there was prostitution there as well. There's a whole lot of,
Absolutely.
a whole lot of stuff that you can get.
Yep.
You got your hand in the cookie jar, mouth completely covered in all kinds of chocolate. You go, oh no, I was working.
Yes. You ain't a part of no undercover DEA sting. Stop it. Stop it. All right. So that's another one along with me who ain't believing that there's an undercover sting going on. Honey, honey, honey. All righty. What about this Texas mama who took the Jello shots to the class and said that she didn't know that the shot meant is alcohol?
Mom, please help. My thing is, you went up the street, paid for Jello shots. The lady literally told you had alcohol in it. Why you couldn't make remember when we used to make the little molds with the fruit cocktail and with or without? Why you couldn't do that?
Right.
Even just the whole idea of bringing Jello shot, the whole idea. You could. There are plenty of other things. You could have brought cake, little cookies. This is what parents do. You bring shots. Just the whole idea of bringing it to the school, with or without alcohol. Stop doing stuff that looks like adult stuff. Give them little kiddie stuff, little candies in a bag.
Right.
There's plenty of other things that you could do.
Right.
You ought to be just guilty just by just the whole idea of it. That it just didn't make sense to me.
So let me ask you. So officially for you, Jello shots mean what? Do you think that they come without alcohol, or do you automatically think that they come with alcohol?
Every time I've ever heard of a shot, it's always liquor. Even the whole song that people talk about, shot, 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 shot. It's liquor. Nobody's talking about, oh, give me a shot with, it's one thing when you go to a restaurant, you say, can I have a daiquiri, virgin? When you tell me shot, it's automatically in my mind that there's alcohol in it.
Okay. All righty. And last but not least, we got the Fight Club that's going on with the 4 criminalistic looking individuals. Oh my goodness. And they are all from the Delta Institute for the Developing Brain, and they've got this undercover Fight Club going on where they even heard telling the kids to hit in the private part. What is that?
So the school is actually for the staff. They're the ones that need their brains developed, not the children. This is ridiculous. This is something that you choose to do. You tell people to, you could damage somebody for life, by telling a child to kick another child in the privates, and I'm just looking at what else do we not know, based on, I was looking at one of the 4, especially the last 2. One of the 2 of them looked like she would just hit your child for no reason. It just looked like, your child, she just seemed like it, and again, when you get to a school, you need to look at the environment, the school grounds, look at the staff, do you look like an undercover alcoholic? What is it that, just all kinds of stuff that you have to be worried about now, But it used to be back in the day when you left the school, you knew that you put your child in safe care. Now you have to question everything.
You do. You really do. You really, really, really do. Oh my goodness gracious. Terrence says, all them kinds was bad. She wanted to slow them down. Oh, there must be the kids in the class. Yeah, she wanted to slow the kids down. Like the other ones who are giving the kids the stuff to go to sleep. Yeah, you can't trust people. Thank you for joining us, Tamika. Let's talk to our Pastor KL. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, ladies. How you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
All righty. So we've got this underground Colorado nightclub that's got the active military duty members working there. And when they busted the place, they found drug trafficking, they found prostitution, they found all kinds of criminalistic behavior going on in the club. And now the active military members who are working there as security claimed that they didn't know that they were undercover with the DEA. What say you? Do you believe that story?
Listen, when the military began to tell the civilian prostitutes, "Thank you for your service," there's a problem. There is definitely a problem. I definitely don't believe that they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. That's just a little too convenient. And then, but the DEA had been watching this place for quite some time. So why would they even bring up the fact that they were working? Because the DEA would have had them covered already. Listen, they're for us. They would have spoken up. They would have spoken up.
Right.
And they're on their side.
The DNA had to have something recorded. The DEA had to have something recorded. They was watching all this stuff, so they couldn't lie about it.
Right. That's what I'm like. Well, what now? Now all of a sudden they don't know nothing about it. We'll hear the story later. They're gonna come out with it. Oh well, they really didn't know anything about it. Oh, it's gonna come out later. All right. What about this mother who took the Jello shots to the holiday party for the fifth graders? Did she know? According to you, what do you think? Did she know that the shot meant alcohol?
She definitely knew it meant alcohol. I mean, listen, this is how Bill Cosby started with the Jello pudding. Saying he said it was Jello pudding, but I believe he had some Jello pudding shots. So this is how Bill Cosby started this whole thing. You know what I mean? You couldn't trust Bill Cosby then. This is shots. Listen, I don't drink. I've never drank. But anytime I heard of a shot, I knew it was alcohol.
All righty. Another one who's sinking this ship of shot. You're thinking alcohol. All right. Terrence says the government knows where all their employees at off-duty time. That's a lie. I'm with you. I don't believe that either, Terrence. All right. And what about this Arkansas Delta Institute for the Developing Brain, where they had this undercover makeshift child fight club where they were allowing child abuse to take place? Would you leave your children with them four people show up in the pictures?
I mean, just by looking at them, I wouldn't leave my child there. The Developing Institute for I Need a Brain, I just don't understand. And then, you telling people to hit people in their private parts. I mean, what's the benefit for this? What kind of bootleg, situation you got going on? No, they should be in jail for a long time.
Right. Where were you going to benefit from to tell them they hit it another child area? What kind of mess is that? I remember when I used to drop my kids off to daycare. When you walk in, the nursery had like a certain ambiance, aura, and you looked at the daycare teachers and everybody looked so nice and greeting you in the morning. I don't know. Like I said, those might be mug shots, but I'm gonna tell you something. They're not the set of people I leave my kids with. I'm sorry. They don't.
And you know what? Before we left school, before we left house, even if we was directed by our parents, someone bothers you, you pick up a chair, you do this, you do it. I never heard my mother and father say, bust them in the nuts. I never heard that. I heard pick up a chair, do something, make sure they down. I never heard hit them in the private parts.
No. And this is why that makes it even worse, because not only do you have this child fight club going on that they're calling it, but then that's why they say and abuse and child abuse, because you're encouraging them to hurt one another. Goodness gracious. You weren't even smart enough to claim we were trying to teach them how to take up for themselves. We were trying to teach them fighting strategy, or Once they heard you say that, they automatically knew you were up to no good. So it's bad enough you were doing it in the first place, but now when you're telling them to do that, that just shows you how depraved and deranged these people were. Wow. I don't understand it at all. All righty, my due time crew. Thank you for indulging me on our news. We've got some serious problems in this world. So we gotta definitely pray for this world, because this is who we're leaving our babies with. And I'm thinking the Delta Institute for the Developing Brain ultimately had a goal. And what's the goal if the Fight Club is taking place? So I don't know. All right. We've got a topic, and they're talking about, they say the lies, the dangerous lies that people tell themselves to stay in the wrong relationship. Oh my goodness. And one of the first things that come up is maybe they'll change. Woo. Tamika, take us away.
That is the biggest lie ever. Whatever that person was doing prior to or in that relationship, that is one of those things where you set yourself up for chaos. You know, you recognize the issue, you saw it as a red flag. Maybe he'll change, or maybe she'll change, or in conjunction, maybe I can change him. You putting so much weight on yourself, and you're causing yourself much grief, you know, because you have this unbelievable belief, and you know it's not going to change. You're literally just dragging yourself into more and more chaos, and fooling yourself that, oh well, that person will change. They're not going to.
Yeah. Where's Pastor KL? Pastor KL, one of the dangerous lies people tell themselves to stay in the wrong relationship is maybe they'll change.
Yeah, that's definitely dangerous. They're not going to change. They like who they are, and for them, you know, we got in this relationship. You accepted me for who I am. So why is there a need for me to change? You know, you want me to change so I can become the man or the woman that you foresee me to be. I don't foresee me to be that person. So I'm happy with where I am. You just have in your mind that I'll stay here long enough and he'll change. But he's not going to change.
Here's the bad part. I can transparently say, yeah, that I remember saying, you know, maybe what I'll do. I haven't looked at this list, and maybe this will come up later, but I remember that. I remember saying to myself, well, you know, maybe after a while, you know, if I do this or if I don't do that, he'll change. When I was in this abusive relationship, and boy, was that an epic fail. It doesn't work. No, they're right. I haven't been a person who's been in that situation who I've said that. I'm being honest. I've said, you know, maybe he'll change. You know, I was a stupid kid, and I thought that, you know, something that I did, or maybe he would outgrow that way of thinking and he'd mature, and boy, was I wrong. If I didn't get out, I would have been dead waiting for him to change. And I mean literally dead. I ain't talking about figuratively speaking. No, I would have been dead. And I stuck around long enough. Yeah, that no, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. All right.
One of the other. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So not only that, when you sit around and you allow that, what you don't realize is you're sending the message that says, I condone your behavior. I condone your foolishness. I condone your mistreatment, and it's fine. In your mind, you're saying, okay, I'll humor you for a while, but the person receives whatever it is that they're doing is fine. And so at this point, you have to decide, is it worth your life? You know, if he or she is beating you, you know, they're not going to change that. That's behavior that you have accepted. And you, unfortunately, are saying to them, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, how much more?
It's true. I have to agree. It is true. You're saying it's okay. You may be thinking, like Tamika said, you may be thinking, oh, I'm only going to endure this for a little while. But for them, they're not understanding that because that's who they are. That's what they do. So they're just going to continue to do that as long as you allow them to do that. So get out. Get out. One of the other lies they have here is they have so much potential. Tamika.
Potential, potential sometimes is your viewpoint of what you think that they will amount to. But in actuality, you get up, you go to work, he is home, you come home from working a hard day's work, he's still home. And you ask questions like, did you look for work? Did you try? And you happen to, let's just say y'all share a computer. You happen to go on your computer, you see the history of him going on a game or him looking at something else. And, social media is out there, and there's nothing up there that says that he even attempted to look for a job. Potential doesn't mean anything until you literally show it and you put it on the table. The potential of you getting to do something doesn't mean anything until you actually are doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have so much potential, Pastor KL. That's what they say.
Well, just because you see the potential, as Lady Tamika says, if you don't realize your potential, it's dormant to the potential. You just sit there in the stupor playing games. I have potential to be the greatest Mortal Kombat winner, and that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? That's my potential. You had the potential to go look for a job, but you didn't. But you had the potential. I have the potential of being the next president. That's what my mama told me. But I'm not. I'm sitting in this little 2x2 office. You know what I mean? Because at no point did I step out on that potential of being the president. At no point. You might have seen, listen, how many times you go to church and you see these babies singing at church who their mama said had the potential, no, they couldn't sing. But they had the potential. And they sounded like the worst thing in the choir. But baby, you got the potential. We got to stop seeing stuff in folks that ain't in them. Ain't in them.
Yeah. Terry says Mortal Kombat. Wow. That's funny, Pastor KL. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. One of the other lies that they tell themselves to stay in a bad, wrong relationship. If I wait long enough, I'll get them to fall in love with me. Woo. Tamika, boy, these some lies.
Big one. You going through hoops, to try and be what this person likes. She didn't cut her hair because he likes short hair, and then he's looking at somebody that's got long hair that comes down to his back because you try to be the impossible. You either are what that person wants and needs and or not, and there's nothing that you can do about that. You can stand on your head, and bleed from your brain trying to appease somebody who, is not the one for you. God, that's the whole reason for seeking God in relationships, and even sometimes in relationships in the initial, you have to ask God, is this, am I doing the right thing? Or am I losing my mind? Am I, going all kinds of stuff? Oh, he likes only dresses, so I throw all my pants away. Does that make sense? Make it make sense.
Right. Pastor KL, if I wait long enough, they will fall in love with me.
That's funny because I do hear people say, he wasn't my type. She wasn't my type, but I grew to love him. And I really never understood that. If you ain't my type, I can't grow to love you. I don't even want to be with you. I mean, this is not the situation for me. How do you grow to love somebody? That's like, I got a wart. I grew to deal with it. No, I still want the wart gone. I'm not gonna accept what I don't have to accept. And that's what people do. They stay in relationships and they accept what they don't have to accept, and then they use the whole analogy of, well, I grew to love them. No, you didn't. You grew to tolerate them. That's what you did. You grew to tolerate them, and you felt that a piece of man was better than no man at all. So now you want to call it love.
Wow. Y'all hitting on some stuff here. Tamika, I know they want me even though they won't admit it. Oh my gosh, I've heard people say that. Oh my goodness gracious.
Why would you put yourself through that? Yeah, they want what's available, and you're always available. At 3:00 in the morning, he's calling or she's calling. Yeah, I'm available. You stop what you're doing. Stop, drop, and roll. You're in the process of work. You're going to take off early because that person is calling, and it doesn't make any sense. You're causing yourself unnecessary grief that eventually you're going to get your heart broken.
Absolutely. Terrence says it's all a game, and it happens a lot. He says it all comes down to manipulation. Absolutely. Pastor KL, I know they want me even though they won't admit it. How do people get here? Oh my God.
We want you until you're no longer accessible. And as long as we choose to see you, as long as we choose to talk to you on the phone, in your mind, I'm giving you attention, so I want you. Listen, in my former life now, I've had somebody pay my rent every month, and I would wait until the last week of the month to start talking to you again because I knew the first of the month was coming back.
Wow.
So at that point, he really wants me. Yeah, I want you to pay my rent because I'm not tenant ready. I need you to pay my money.
That was horrible in your former life.
I'm sorry. I had a past, but look at God.
Somebody some money.
Okay, but what's sad? How long did this go on, Pastor KL?
For about 6 months.
So she never picked up on it.
No, she never picked up on it because, okay, so I gave her what she wanted for that last week. I made sure, I wooed her, I did whatever I needed to do. So you felt like, I really wanted you. Now, I would suspect that after you pay that rent, in your mind was like, I know he playing me. But then I came back the last week and made it look good all over again. Listen, don't judge me. My rent was paid.
Oh no, I ain't judging you. I'm judging her.
No, listen. The Bible said don't judge. The Bible said don't judge unless you be judged. Leave her alone. She's okay. She's blessed.
Anybody.
Listen, watch this. She gave a prophet a drink of water. Now she's blessed.
This is why I'm shaking my head. Because you said that only at the end of the month that you even came around and did what you did. So I ain't never picked up that this is always at the same time of the month that you showing up doing this same old thing.
I was busy the earlier parts of the month. I was busy.
That much busyness in the world.
Listen. I was getting my lights and my waters from somebody else. I was getting the check for somebody else. I had a full-time job. Lady Tamika, I have potential.
Oh my goodness. Lord have mercy. I tell you, Lord have mercy. Literally. And that's why I had to ask, like, how long did this go on? So all this time I'm being played and I never pick up that at the end of the month you come through and you're doing whatever you need to do and I'm okay and I'm gonna give up rent Lord, let me move on before I say something else. They are my dream. Tamika, that's the lie they tell to stay up in this wrong relationship. They're my dream.
Oh my gosh, how many people live on a dream, and I hate to pick on us, but a lot of times we do that. Females are well for that. You meet a person and already in your mind, you have got the wedding plans down and such and such and such. And, there's all these notions in your mind. It's not reality, and you add all of the other things that we've already said. That comes to that. You put all of those things, oh, he'll change, she'll change, I can make him better, he has potential, but you have been in this relationship for 6 years and you have been carrying the weight. He doesn't even, when y'all get into an argument, he doesn't even bother calling you back. Why? Because he's not bothered by you. He's not even interested in you. You are the 2 o'clock, phone call. We ain't got nothing else to do, and well, okay, bring her over, and it's sad because the whole entire time, the relationship doesn't even exist. It's all in your head. You are literally just something that he can get by until he finds what he wants, and we've got to stop doing that. We are real well with all of this notion. And, anytime he shows you any type of attention, he comes and brings you to a family outing. He was already at the family outing. He just, needed you to come by because he needs you to come pick him up and take him home. These are the type of things you got to pay attention. Don't just walk around, willy-nilly. Pay attention to what's going on. Look at the signs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Terrence says that Pastor KL wants them for the food stamps or the new PS5. Don't hate the player, hate the game. They are my dream, Pastor KL. That's the lie that people tell themselves to stay in the wrong relationship.
Well, I mean, if we be honest with ourselves, we've all been someone's dream. It's how you deal with it. Either you take advantage of it or you don't take advantage of it. Unfortunately, I've taken advantage of it. I was that dream. I was able to sing, I was able to do certain things, and I dressed well. And, for lack of a better term, I was a little eye candy back then. You know what I mean? So I was that dream, and you did whatever you wanted to do for the, some folks say, let me go back to sleep because I don't want the dream to end. So listen, y'all not gonna admit it, but I'm sure Lady Tamika was somebody's dream. Stephanie, you were somebody's dream. Y'all was just nice. Y'all made them wake up. I let them sleep. Who wants to be awoken? Just sleep. Enjoy yourself. No one wants anybody to be waking up early in the morning. Just sleep. And then when it looks like the money was getting low, I would say, you are getting sleepy.
Oh my gosh. I want to be there when you stand before the Lord. And the Lord is saying, you are getting sleepy. Left. Oh my gosh. Woo! Woo! All right, here's one that I've definitely heard, and it is scary. And they say, I'm scared I'll lose them if I don't give them what they want. That one there, Tamika.
Oh my gosh. Again, shortchanging yourself. You're afraid that you're losing. They weren't interested to begin with. You doing all this extra stuff don't matter. Again, just biding time until they can get, to where they want to be. You're available, always stopping what you're doing, trying to give in to that individual, so you giving up 6 months of rent when that could be paid on something else, because you're afraid that you're going to lose them.
You're a hater. You are a hater. You're a hater.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Hey Tyreek, thank you for joining us. Good morning. Tyreek says, let sleeping dogs lie. Oh my goodness gracious. Pastor KL, I'm sure you've heard, I'm scared I'll lose them if I don't give them what they want.
Listen, okay, so let me put it like this: a relationship is a job. It's a job to be in a relationship. When you go to work and you don't do what the job wants you to do, you lose the job. So if you don't give me what I want, you're gonna lose the job. I'm no longer gonna be there. I gotta go find another company to work for, because this company is no longer paying my bills, i.e., the rent. So yeah, you will lose me if you don't continue doing what you're doing in my former life.
So scary. So scary. It's scary because this is real. This is real stuff. The last one that they use is it's all my fault. It's all my fault. What's the thought?
Yeah, we're gonna always make you believe that it's all your fault. So okay, let's go back to the rent now. Well, KL, I'm a little short this month because I got to pay my bills. What that mean now? I got to be evicted because you're short? I was dependent on this. You know what I mean? Had I known you wasn't gonna be able to come through, I could have probably went another way. But now I'm depending on this. So now I'm gonna be homeless. I can't come live with you and your 10 kids. So now I'm be in trouble. So yeah, it's a whole game.
Okay, so I just need to ask. That was like figuratively speaking. That was just like an example, right? That wasn't what you would say.
Nah, I mean, she came through. So I mean, it was never a point where she didn't have enough money. You know what I'm saying? I always cheated up. You know what I mean? I don't cheat down. I got to make sure you got some money.
And definitely not 10 kids.
No, definitely not. No. I wasn't spending the night with 10 kids. You already showed your hand. That means you fertile.
Wow. Ladies, I sure hope you're listening. Pay attention. This is in his former life. Now think about the men out here that it's their present life. That's how they do. That's how they laying it down. Whoa.
You know what though, Pastor Steph, to be honest with you, I don't think these younger guys are even that bright to kind of manipulate that way. I'm sure they manipulate in other ways, but I don't even think they're that bright to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't think. I mean, listen, if one of these younger guys had a Shantice, man, they'd be shot. You know what I mean? I mean, it just wouldn't work. For this new age, it wouldn't work.
Well, and that's my, I'm really hoping that the women are smarter than back then in your former life. That, they've come a lot farther and they're not falling for the okie doke like back then. That's got to be some kind of crazy. Terrence says, Tamika knows she was getting a lot of free candy meals and everything else when she was younger. You too, Pastor Steph. No, I ain't never been that lucky. I ain't gonna lie. Not me. I wish, Terrence. When Pastor KL said it, I was like, nah, not me. Not me. Serge says Pastor K. Wait, Serge says Pastor KL was a dog. Wow.
Put some respect to my name. I was a big dog.
Oh, Tariq says, right. These young cats don't have any clue. Well, maybe not. Maybe because the women have stepped their game up. So now it's harder for you to run those kind of games on them. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not because they just regressed, but it's because now the women these days have made it harder for you to run that. I'm gonna be honest. I gotta agree with you, Pastor Kale. I can't see none of these millennial girls paying your rent, because before you could even get out the gate, They already want to know what you're going to do for them in order for you to even have them out on the first date. So, yo, it ain't the same out here.
That's where I disagree. Because, okay, no matter how strong you are, the man, if I'm a player, that's what you know, a shoplifter does that every day. So he has mastered the way of shoplifting without you knowing that he's shoplifting. If this is what I do, you have no idea how many women I've bamboozled who are well educated, you know what I mean, who had everything on their own. I don't think it's your stance. I think it's my stance. And then I think that depending on who I go after the people who I know just got out of a relationship, who's hurt, who's been in abusive relationships, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, I go through that, and I give you what you want mentally. So now you've never met a man like me. Now, mind you, I'm the same man that you just got out of the relationship with, but because I've come in with a different approach, I got you. So I don't think it's because, you know, these women now. No, because we target certain people. The shoplifters target certain stores where they know it's not kept up, it's not clean, there's not enough people, and they do what they need to do. We target certain things.
So my retort is, it's not as easy today as it was yesterday. That's what I said.
Now I agree with that.
Out here, that's what I said. I didn't say you wouldn't be successful at all. What I said is it's not going to be as easy because the millennial women, the women of today are not the women of yesterday. We have shown even video where she wants to, you need to get her hair and her nails done in order for her to go out on the first date with you. They're not even willing to spend their money for you to take them out. These days, you got to give them money in order. If you want to take her out, you got to pay her in order for her to get herself ready for you to take her out. So it's not as easy as it was back then.
Pastor
Shifting. So
you're absolutely correct. It's not as easy, but the player has an investment. So I'll do that 3 times for you, and now you think he is the one, because he's gonna do everything, and then all of a sudden I scale back, and now you do, because you want that first high again. You know, a drug addict always seeks the first high. You want the first high again, so you start doing what you need to do, hoping that I come back that way.
Here's what we're gonna do. Make this. We're gonna put the battle out there. I'm gonna let you talk to the millennials, and we're gonna get the men, and we're gonna see what one has to say against the other. We're gonna see how that goes.
Now I want millennial men, and with the millennial women.
Of course, I'm gonna get the millennial men. I ain't gonna get nobody your age.
Don't give me the Vinnies and the Al's and the Ainsleys. they are the game.
I'm gonna set it up. It has to be equal. We're talking about today's time. We're not talking about yesterday's time. We're talking about today. What's going down today? Tamika, how are we closing this out here? Pastor KL says, you know what? If you the player, you're gonna get over him no matter what millennial. You're gonna get over.
I don't agree with that. You know, we've seen too many videos of females clapping back because they're not taking the foolishness, you know, and you know, every now and then you'll see a male one, but it's usually the female. She done caught something, you know, and she has no problem posting your information for any other female that might be, you know, cognizant and awake enough to not accept the foolishness. Today's women are not accepting foolishness, and they'll cut you before, you know, you can even get an opportunity to get in good.
We'll see. I'm gonna get our 7 millennials, and I'm gonna get male and female, and we're gonna see how they go at it. We'll see, because I'm definitely interested in hearing All righty. My due time crew, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. Stay woke, everybody, as they say in the streets. This is what you got to possibly contend with. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
God bless you.
All right. Okay, let's get these comments out the way. Let's see. Terrence says, they're not bright because we have the older ladies. They're the pimps now. Giving us everything. Don't call my boy a dog. He was just a smart man. Pastor KL, 100% right. It is easy as it is today. I beg to differ. I'm with Tamika. Yes, he said it's right. Do something for her 3-4 times a wait and see everything will fall in your lap. Boy, I'm loving to hear this conversation. Serge says, laughing my butt off. Pastor KL is a mess. Tariq says, thank you. Terrence says, you're right. You might see a lot of videos of ladies clapping back, but don't see what the other lonely ladies are doing as well. All right, we're going to find out. We're going to definitely find out what the millennials are saying, the male and the female. I am dying, and it ain't going to be no church people necessarily. So I am dying to see how this goes down. Well, it's the top of the hour on a Monday morning, and we know what goes down on Monday mornings here on this due time. It's the switch with Shantice. Let's say good morning to Shantice. Good morning, Shantice.
And Pastor Steph, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good, good. What you got for us today?
Today I have the switch with Shantice, where we make the switch from the streets to our godly seat, and we are up to switch tip 220, y'all. And it is stop raising your hand for the responsibilities. Now, back, I believe in 2022, we had our switch tip 126, appreciate the responsibilities, because God pointed out to me how the responsibilities he blesses us with saves our lives a lot of the time. And let me tell y'all, when I go back into the recesses of my mind and all of the responsibilities I've had from when I was little, and how determined I was to be reckless in my teenage years, the responsibilities is what saved my life a lot of the times. And I remember bringing up of a phrase that my mother used to always say, and it used to irk my nerves: idle time make for idle mind. You have to be accountable for every minute you out this house, because when you leave this house and you ain't got no goal, that's when you get into something and da-da-da-da-da. And of course, as a reckless teenager, you're like, Ma, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Me and my friends, we're going to go chill. We'll figure it out when we get outside. But as an adult and thinking back on all of the bad decisions that I made and were trying to be made for me, and how there was always like some type of bullseye on my back, I really thank God for the responsibilities he always had in place. Because even when I tried to slip away and really try to do things, because I have responsibilities, I knew that I couldn't go but so far. Whether it was physically, mentally, emotionally, I always was tamed back. But now we're talking about always raising our hand for responsibilities. And this switch tip came to mind, when I was thinking about and talking to God about a lot of the things that I go to him for, a lot of the things that I want, a lot of the things that it's like, oh God, I want to do this, and God, I want to do that. And by the time he gives me something else to do, I'm loving it. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, let's do it. And then my mind is on the next thing as well. And it's like, okay, girl, did you really sink your teeth into what God already gave you? And everything God gives us is a responsibility. So before I go any further, let's give a recap of the definition we meditated on back when we did switch tip 126. Responsibility, the state or fact of having a duty to deal with something or of having control over someone. That was the definition we focused on back in 2022. The definitions when it comes to responsibility that we are focusing on today, when we're talking about stop raising our hand for the responsibilities, is the state or fact of being accountable or to blame for something, or being accountable for one's actions and choices, fulfilling duties, and being reliable. Now, a lot of us, whether we're in the Lord or not, we raise our hands for the responsibility, meaning whatever the responsibility is, whether we want to be someone's boyfriend, girlfriend, someone's spouse, someone's boss, someone's parent, someone's clergy, meaning you want to be a pastor, you want to be, and again, being raised under pastors, I don't see how that's something you wake up and say, I want to do, because when you really understand the true definition of being a pastor, that is a daily walk with someone else in their life. You are responsible for being the bridge between that person and the Lord every day, all day. We don't want to do that with our own lives. How many times do we try to back out of praying? How many times do we back out of reading the word? How many times do we back out of sharing the word? How many times do we back out of the Lord reminding us of the word so that he can keep us in check? But yet we're raising our hands to be pastors. Why? Because the world says that the meaning of a pastor means a private jet, money, clout, notoriety, women. But we got to get down to the true definition, and that needs to be another switch tip, because Lord, I've been hearing some definition of some words, and now I'm really understanding more why God, I told y'all, even when the word is God is like, go look it up, write it down, meditate on it, remember it, because especially us millennials, we're using words and then creating our own definition, and then when someone comes to us with the real definition, we get mad. That needs to be a whole other switch tip. Kelly, please write that down so you can help to remind me. Switch to stop making up your own definitions. Okay, so we're focusing on those two definitions of responsibility right now. So we have to understand what we're raising our hands for. We're raising our hands to be accountable and reliable. The definition of accountable: being honest and answerable for your actions in all situations. And we actually just went over accountability in service this past Saturday. You're raising your hand to be reliable, consistently good in quality or performance, able to be trusted. So real quick, we're gonna go over that. We're raising our hand to be honest and answerable for our actions in all situations. Now let's just be real with ourselves. How many times have you said and or done something and someone approaches you about it, whether they approach you in an aggressive manner or a gentle manner? How many times are you honest? How many times are you answerable, meaning you fess up to it? You actually sit and listen to what the person is saying you did or said that was wrong and or offended them, made them feel some type of way, for those who are street. And we actually own up to that. How many of us are consistently good? Now, the Bible tells us that no one is good, but we at least strive to be decent. How many of us are consistently decent in the quality of our daily deeds, in the quality of our performance? How many of us can be trusted? So 9 times out of 10, we didn't just been X'd out of being held accountable and being reliable, but yet we're raising our hand for this. James 3 verse 1 in the Amplified Version reads, "Not many of you should become teachers, serving in an official teaching capacity, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who are teachers will be judged by a higher standard because we have assumed greater accountability and more condemnation if we teach incorrectly." And this is why we have to appreciate and love the word of God, because it is so targeted. At the same time, it addresses so many different things. Being a teacher does not only mean I stand in front of a class and I teach academically. When you are a pastor, you are a teacher. When you are a friend, you are a teacher. When you are a parent, you are a teacher. When you are someone's spouse, you are a teacher. What else do we raise our hands for? That's like, you really want that accountability? Anything where you are now responsible for someone else's feelings, someone else's knowledge, someone else's whatever. You are a teacher. And what does this verse say? Not many of you should become teachers, for you know that we as teachers will be judged by a higher standard because we have assumed greater accountability. So when I strive, and like I've said here on This Due Time with Pastor Steph, there have been many times I've begged God, like, I want to be a wife, I want to be a wife. And I didn't think about it the way Pastor Steph broke it down. The Lord saved me because he knew I would be responsible, not just for my deeds, but even if my husband wanted to clap back at me because of something I did, because of something that he did, but yet I would have been responsible for that. And God knew that even though I would have owned up to it, do I really want to have to face those responsibilities? So we need to make sure we are making the conscious decision of making the switch to raising our hand and offering ourselves up for these responsibilities, and making sure that we ask God to teach us accountability, teach us how to be reliable, so that when he is ready to hand us over to these responsibilities or hand the responsibilities over to us, we will be ready according to God's definition of responsibility and not the streets. Thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Shantice. Thank you. The title of your switch tip again.
Stop raising your hand for the responsibilities.
Amen. Stop raising your hand for these responsibilities. Thank you. We appreciate your contribution into today's episode, and we pray you have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you. Practical switch tip. Another practical switch tip. We are covering a whole lot of stuff today. A lot of stuff. You know, we talked about the mother, says that she was a parent who took the Jello shots to the school and then claimed that she did not realize that they were Jello shots with alcohol in it. And we were like, yeah, right. And despite the fact that we do have, some that say shots, Terrence sent me a picture of a cup of tequila, but it didn't have any liquor in it. So again, you're sending mixed messages. Unfortunately, a lot of us know alcohol to be called shots. Raising your hand. She raised her hand to be a parent. She raised her hand to bring this item to the school, or any item to the school. Then she had the responsibility, and she needed to take accountability when it was found out that these kids got sick. The lady who prepared the Jello shots. So here's the thing. I'm going to need somebody to prepare regular Jello molds. I couldn't do that myself. Interesting. Okay. So she claimed she didn't know. We also covered the story of the military, active military members that were working security in the underground Colorado nightclub. And they went up in there and found drugs and prostitution and all kinds of crime and things like that. They raised their hand for that. We talked about raising your hand to be in a relationship that was wrong for you, and then finding a whole bunch of excuses. Raising your hand. Be careful. Be careful of what we sign up for. Again, we're not being drafted. We're talking about signing up for. You signed up to help out for this holiday party. You signed up to be a part of this underground nightclub. You signed up to be in this relationship, and now you're trying to find reason to stay in the relationship. Be careful what you sign up for, because not everything you sign up for is good for you. So we got to make sure that we are quite aware of what it is we're actively being a part of. We are woke being a part of. Are you paying attention? you're going to learn as long as you live. As long as God gives you life, you are going to be learning something on an ongoing basis. There are things that I cannot do. When people come to the door or call, but especially when people come to the door, you feel pressured, please make this appointment. And, you could cancel it at another time, or when you're signing up for something online, it's, cancel it anytime. I stopped doing that. First of all, you're not pressuring me for nothing. I had somebody at the door the other day and they were like, oh, come on. You can just give us give us the information, and, we'll call you. You can cancel, if you, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it because I'll forget. Or then if I don't forget, I'm now stuck to, complete the appointment because now it's not your fault. You take it out. No, the answer is no. I'm standing my ground. No, sorry. If you can't accept the no, then sorry, then I don't know what to tell you, because I'm not being pressured to do anything anymore. Why? Because I've stopped raising my hand. I've stopped raising my hand saying, okay. I've stopped raising my hand saying, okay, I'll do it for you. No, I'm not doing it anymore. Be careful of what you enter into, because we are going to be accountable for everything. God, stop. It's only in the ignorant stage that God winks at us. But once you know, and the Bible tells us that once you know and you do it anyway, it's on you. And I'm sorry, I'm not going down for anything. No, I'm sorry. I've had people ask me to do things, and my heart says, go ahead and do it, Stephanie. It's only $5. Go ahead and do it. It only means 5 minutes. And no, the answer is absolutely not anymore. I'm not doing it. If the Lord is telling me something different, and I don't care whether you understand, I don't care whether you get it, I don't care whether you're going to be upset, I don't care if you're going to start questioning, oh, God said that. Yeah, because I'm going to be held accountable for that. And I've had a lot of people who have needed me to do things, and I feel bad. I feel bad not to be able to move on that thing. But I got to stand the ground that God has given me to say, no, I told you. I didn't tell it to them. I told it to you. You are going to be held accountable. There's in Ezekiel, it tells you that when you tell somebody something, when God gives you something, and I'm going to close on this. When God gives you something and you are responsible for giving it to someone, and you give it to them and they don't take the advice, it's on you. It's on you. However, if God tells you to do something, wait, let me say that again. Let me start all over again, because somebody put something up on the screen and I just lost my thought. If God gives you something to give, God gives me something to give Shantice, and I give it to her and she doesn't do it, it's on her. If God gives me something to give Shantice and I don't do it, it's on me. And I'm going to have to pay the price. Now, let me tell y'all something. I didn't have to pay the price, and I'm still paying the price for things that I've done or I didn't do that I should have done. I will never pay the price for telling you to do something and I don't tell it to you. I made that mistake one time, and to this day, I regret it. To this day, every time I think about that thing, and God knew that would happen, and He knew. He said, "That's all I need." And I always tell y'all, all I need is one time, and that happened to me one time. I was told to tell somebody something, and I delayed because I didn't think she'd understand. I was like, "I'm not telling her nothing." No, raising your hand, and let me tell you what God said to me. He challenged me. He said, "It was you who said, 'Here I am, send me.' So it's on you. You can either take it and do what I tell you to do, or not do what I tell you to do. But you were the one who said, 'Here I am, send me. So see, God is charging you with that. When you raise your hand, he says, let your yays be yays and let your nays be nays. Once you make a vow, you got to keep that vow. So there's many biblical verses that go right along with what Shanti said. Stop raising your hand for things. Because we get down the line. It's like, oh, I ain't think it was like gonna be like this. Relationships. I want to be a wife. I want to be a husband. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be a cop. But now I just want to make it home. Stop raising your hand. Stop raising your hand. Be smart. Be smart and be smart. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, the dangerous thing. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I'm going to Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares. It's Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. Until then, I love you.